Hey, what's up, everybody? Just jumping on here, daily video. So I went to a meeting last night, a 12-step meeting, and lady made a comment about how drinking made all her problems go away, and I had this just really big flash of remembering a really powerful experience I had just about 10 years ago before I got sober again. And some of you guys know a little bit of my story. I don't talk about it too much in here, but I had been 6 years sober in AA, working steps. I got away from it, and got into a real dark place in terms of anxiety and depression, and eventually relapsed. But I ended up in a treatment center, a really great one, and it's kind of a funny story, and it's related to what this lady had said, and it's also related to kind of how I perceive the mechanism by which we make changes in our lives, especially in the areas of health and wellness. But anyway, I went to this treatment center, and they did a heavy 12-step process there, and you would go through the beginning part of that process in a cohort of other new residents that came to the program. And I remember, I don't know what happened, but I had gotten there like on a Monday or something, and there was no new residents that came. So I didn't start my 12-step work really until about Wednesday. And I remember it was funny because I think they felt bad. So there was a gentleman there who I know very well now, actually work with him, that I heard about. He didn't work until Wednesdays. So I was there for a couple of days, and I kept hearing about this guy that was really great. And I had been in program before, and I had 12-step experience. And so I was set up I came on a Monday, I was set up on Wednesday to meet with this individual one-on-one to start my step work. And in my mind, I had relapsed after 6 years. I had done a lot of step work prior to that, and I thought to myself, I don't know what this guy is going to teach me about the 12 steps, and all I've heard about this guy is he's so great. And in my mind, I was like, this better be good. You know what I mean? Like, I had this like kind of ego about it, and also just wasn't convinced that I was going to learn anything new. That turned out to be very much untrue. But anyway, my whole point of telling that story is I sat down with this person at this treatment center, and within about 10 minutes, or maybe even less than that, he completely shifted my whole perspective on recovery and brought me back into this thing where I was in a place where I was like, I don't know if anything's going to work for me. I started feeling hope again. And I remember what that looked like for me was very simply this, which was we were going through what we call the disease model of addiction. And I won't go over that now, but he basically looked at me and said, Russell, you don't have a drinking and drugging problem, you have a sober problem. And what he meant by that was that every time I took away drugs and alcohol out of my life, I was miserable. And if you asked me, let's say I was 2 weeks sober, if you asked me if I was doing good, I would say yes, because I felt like that's what I had to say. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 2 weeks sober, so that must mean that I'm doing really good. And the truth of the matter is I'm 2 weeks sober, and you've taken away my best friend in my life that fixes all my problems. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what that lady was saying in the meeting last night. So what happened when he said that to me, it was like this unbelievable shift in my thinking. And I realized, I was like, that's why I was 6 years sober and miserable, and then eventually relapsed, because I had not treated the sober problem. And it just brought me right back into this whole deal of recovery, and with a different perspective. And I realized I needed to work deeply on myself, on that sober problem. And that happened to be in the framework of the 12 steps, which is a really amazing path to health and wellness. And then for me, as you guys know, I eat good. Nutrition is an important part of this for me. So my whole point of saying this is I've been getting on here and talking about different ways of cultivating health and wellness. But I think that it's a mistake to just say to yourself, okay, I've got an extra 40 pounds. I want to get on a diet and I'm going to lose the weight, and think that that alone is going to make you okay. You know what I mean? So in other words, a lot of people, I think, fail at making behavioral changes, not just like for drugs and alcohol, but like diet changes and different things that they want to improve around their life. They fail to make those changes because they're trying to change something outside of them that's really a problem that's internal. So let's just say, for example, I go on a diet. If I only start eating less food and go on some kind of food plan and don't address the person and the things and the reasons why I eat like garbage is really what it comes down to, then I'm not likely going to be successful for very long. And then as soon as somebody says, hey Russell, you're doing pretty good on your diet, maybe you can reward yourself. You know what I mean? And then I go do that because I go, you know what, I have been doing kind of good. And the truth of the matter is that I haven't been doing good because I'm out of my mind, because I use food in a way that is misdirected, and I'm using it for reasons, underlying reasons that I'm not even aware that I need to address. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, and that's kind of the thing, is it's like, with my health and wellness program, I do encourage people to find spiritual practice and spiritual meaning, as well as really taking a look, and this is where inventory and journaling comes in, really taking a look at what their thinking looks like, because there's a whole lot of underlying issues that cause us to behave in certain ways that are unhealthy in our lives. And if we don't address that sober person, or the person that's there without those behaviors, because I rely on behaviors like that to medicate an internal problem, then any behavioral change is deemed to fail. And that's why a lot of new age, manifestation and stuff like that talk about how, if you change the internal condition, you'll change the external condition. At the same time, like, you can't just think yourself, I'm also not a huge mindset type person, because I've tried all that stuff. It's just like, if I think myself thin, then I can become thin. If I think myself if I picture that I make, $500,000 a year, then that's going to come down my way. I mean, I've tried that stuff and it didn't work. I think there's a lot of, if I want to make $500,000 a year, I'm going to have to put hard work in. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no way around that. So anyway, I'm just kind of rambling now, but I just wanted to kind of jump on here and talk about that, because it was really, I was reminded about that, about how when I got sober, I had to in order to be successful, I had to realize it wasn't about the drugs and alcohol. It was really about what was going on. It was really about the person I was sober. And it takes a lot of work and effort to kind of work through all that stuff. But treating that, which AA calls the spiritual malady, made it possible for me to have some pretty strict guidelines on the substances and the food and the behaviors in my life. To the point where I don't need them anymore. For the most part, I act and I eat appropriately, and I definitely don't drink or use drugs at all. So anyway, that's it. Thanks, everybody. So again, I've been talking about this, but if you're interested in a really great Facebook community group I just started, go to wellnessseekerscommunity.com, wellnessseekerscommunity.com. And again, if you like these videos, please be sure to like them and comment and share them with people that you think would benefit from it. So, peace.